Hello, this is Ginny Brant with Unleash Your God-Given Healing with Lifestyle Changes. Today we're going to look at 6 foods to avoid for the health of your brain. Did you know the foods you eat every day can either protect your brain or slowly damage it? Now, in a previous video called 10 Foods That Boost Your Brain, we learned the best foods to eat to protect and actually nourish your brain. And I highly suggest that you watch this video, and it will be referenced in the show notes below. It's amazing how most of the nourishing foods for our brain come from the plants that God created in Genesis 1:29. It's also interesting that many of these same foods also benefit our heart and prevent cancer. God certainly knew what he was doing now, didn't he? Well, today we'll look at 6 foods to avoid for the health of our brain. And number 1 is clearly ultra-processed foods. Processed food is any food altered from its original state during preparation, ranging from minimal to complex industrial methods. It includes foods with added salt, sugar, or unhealthy fats for preservation and flavor. While some processed foods are somewhat healthy, ultra-processed foods are highly processed and often contain additives such as emulsifiers, artificial sweeteners, artificial colors, and preservatives, and they are all linked to higher calories yet lower nutrients. One of the best examples that I can give you is simply white flour. Although white flour is a processed food that's been around for about 100 years, it has many problems associated with its processing and an impact on our overall health. White flour is highly refined and stripped of fiber and nutrients when the bran and the germ are removed. Consuming it then causes blood sugar spikes, insulin surges, increased hunger, which can lead to obesity, type 2 diabetes, and heart disease. Both heart disease and type 2 diabetes have an impact on your brain. The white flour is then enriched with synthetic vitamins and junk gluten. God created wheat to nourish our bodies and brains, but after this ultra-processing, it is now an irritant to most people's guts, causing sensitivity to gluten and a reaction which promotes inflammation in the body, and that is not good. I did a video on this called Why I Now Freshly Mill My Own Grains, and it will also be referenced in the show notes below. Other foods which fall into this category are fast foods such as packaged cereals, sugary sweets, frozen meats, and packaged snacks such as good old potato chips. Research indicates that ultra-processed foods are strongly linked to accelerated cognitive decline, increased dementia, and higher rates of stroke. These are usually, as I said, high-calorie foods with little nutritional value. High intake of refined carbs is linked to obesity, increased belly fat, and a higher risk of type 2 diabetes and inflammation in the body. None of this, absolutely none of this, is good for our body or for our brain. Number 2 is sugary foods and drinks. Oh, these foods dance around us all day long, from sodas and frappuccinos at Starbucks to cakes, cookies, and pies. And that does not even count the hidden added sugars, which many foods contain. Sugar consumption continues to increase in our country. We are a sugar addicted society, and no one loved sugar more than this chunk food queen. According to the FDA, the average American consumes 130 pounds of sugar per person per year, and at one time I probably ate more than the average American. 6 to 9 teaspoons a day, or 22 to 32 pounds in a year, is the maximum recommended by both the American Heart Association and many neurologists. Why? To protect the heart and the brain. The reason is that high blood insulin levels are highly correlated to Alzheimer's disease. As a matter of fact, there is a type of Alzheimer's called type 3 diabetes, caused by insulin resistance and impaired insulin signaling within the brain. With my dad's love for sugar, I do wonder at times if he had this type of dementia, even though it was not being diagnosed when he actually had Alzheimer's disease. Researchers at Harvard found that improved blood sugar levels contribute to better brain health, and the opposite is also true. So hear me clearly. Constant blood sugar spikes are not good for the brain or any part of the body. Did you know that a 16-ounce Starbucks Grand Vanilla Frappuccino contains 17 teaspoons of sugar? And a can of Coke contains 10 teaspoons of sugar. Something to think about. Number 3 is processed meats. Eating too much processed meat may harm the brain. In a study published in the journal Neurology, Dr. Daniel Wang, an assistant professor of medicine at the Women's Hospital at Harvard Medical School, and his team report that people who eat more processed meats had a 14% higher risk of developing dementia over more than 4 decades than those who consumed minimal amounts. Dr. Wang believes the reason is because processed meat is high in saturated fat and sodium, which both increase the risk of diabetes and heart conditions by raising blood pressure, which definitely harms the brain. Another theory is that the nitrates found in processed meats may damage DNA, thereby injuring brain cells. Processed meats are things like bacon, hot dogs, and deli meats, which, by the way, are not recommended for pregnant women. Number 4 is fried foods, a favorite of Americans, and frequent consumption of fried foods is strongly associated with a higher risk of anxiety, depression, and cognitive decline driven by chronic inflammation and neuroinflammation. Deep frying, particularly with reused oil, which happens on a daily basis, produces compounds like acrylamide that cross the blood-brain barrier, triggering oxidative stress, brain metabolism disturbances, and neurodegeneration. Yes, this acrylamide acts as a neurotoxin that induces inflammation in the brain. Toxins from fried foods can also alter gut bacteria, causing inflammation that spreads to the brain. And this won't surprise you at all. French fries is the number 1 side or ordered vegetable at restaurants. It absolutely bothers me when I'm eating out and the only side offered is French fries. And what do most children's menus offer but fried chicken fingers and French fries? Boy, do I appreciate the restaurants or chains that offer fresh fruit or coleslaw or green beans as another option. We're not helping our brains or our health here, folks. And we certainly are not helping the health of our children. Something to think about. Number 5, artificial sweeteners. Artificial sweeteners and artificially sweetened soft drinks were linked in a 2017 study with an increased risk of stroke, dementia, and Alzheimer's disease. Now, you're hearing this from the gal who used to drink 4 to 5 tabs with lime each day. Hard to believe, but true. This drink would be similar to Diet Coke in this day. I always thought that artificial sweeteners were a healthy alternative, but not always. Don't get me started on why no one should be drinking any soft drink in the first place. These are simply chemical drinks. The benefits of water never looked so good. Now, another more recent study suggests a link between high consumption of artificial sweeteners and accelerated cognitive decline. The risk is particularly associated with sweeteners like aspartame. Ask about the headaches that can give, saccharin, and sucralose, known as Splenda, and potentially driven by neuroinflammation and gut microbiome changes. Not good. As a result of this information, I now only use natural sweeteners such as stevia and monk fruit. Last but not least is obvious. Alcohol, alcohol, alcohol. In a 2018 study, it was found that the risk of dementia was increased in people who consumed more than 14 units of alcohol a week. Excessive alcohol consumption is a known risk factor for dementia. The negative impact of heavy alcohol intake on the risk of dementia has been suggested to involve nutritional deficiency, the direct neurotoxic effects of ethanol, and the indirect negative impacts through increased risk of diabetes, hypertension, and stroke. This should not surprise us because alcohol is a neurotoxin that damages, shrinks, and actually kills brain cells by disrupting neural communication and promoting inflammation and oxidative stress. The Bible does not forbid alcohol, but it warns against excess in Ephesians 5:18. Every bite you take, every sip you drink is either nourishing your brain or fighting against it. Deuteronomy 30:19 says, I have set before you life and death. Now choose life. We help to choose life and the health of our brain by what we eat and what we drink. So, as I've said many times before, because the Bible said it first, whatever you eat or drink, do all for the glory of God. And science clearly agrees on this, that diet plays a role in preventing cognitive decline and Alzheimer's disease. You don't have to change everything overnight. You can start small, little pieces, by cutting back on processed foods, reducing sugar intake, and choosing whole, nourishing foods. I don't know about you, but I don't want to not take care of the brain that God gave me. I certainly don't want to go down the same road as my father. Alzheimer's disease and any cognitive decline is painful for everyone involved, including the patient. We must honor God by caring for our brain through wise choices. The motto of my ministry is this: faith, family, and lifestyle changes give us the freedom to serve God. When our brains can't work as God intended, the truth is we can no longer serve God. And I plan to serve Him up until the day I die, if at all possible. The Bible tells us in 1 Corinthians 6:19 through 20 to glorify God in our bodies because our bodies are temples of the Holy Spirit. 3 John 1:2 tells us, "Dear friend, I pray that you are doing well in every way and that you are healthy, just as your soul is healthy. And that is my wish for each one of you." So let's honor God by caring for our brains through wise choices. I hope that this has been helpful information for you. I do hope that you will subscribe to this YouTube channel, like this video, share it, and click the notification bell so you will know when I post new information. Until next time, here's to the health of your brain so that you may serve God until the day you die. And may God bless.